So, a very, very bright African good afternoon to all of you out there. Welcome to Black History Month. Oh, first, welcome to 2022, this incredible year. I hope that you and your loved ones have been treated well, are being treated well in the new year, that you arrive safely and that things are working well for you. My name is Ankweta Beatrice Achaleke. I am the publisher of GloBUNTU Books and the host of today's book launch. And today we're launching a book that is very, very close to my heart. It is very close to my heart because it's one of many in that particular house. And I will not say so much as that you should stick in. We are live streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. So make sure that you grab one of those links and join the conversation. We are having a very, very relaxed conversation during this book launch. If you're used to GloBUNTU book launches, you know we have conversations, we share a whole lot. So you want to make sure that you grab something to drink, settle down, bring your comments, bring your experiences, bring your questions, and let's get the business, let's get the show, let's get the book launch started. So I am going to get in my guests. Let's go get them all in. So welcome. They are here. The author is here. The studio guests are here. And before we get started, I will ask the senior in our midst, our high-profile guest, to intercede for us. How do you say it? To intercede with the creator and the ancestors to guide us through this book launch. So, ma'am Teboho, may I pass it on to you before we move on to the official launch?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Auntie Beatrice. Thank you so much for everyone who's here. We'll just take a moment just to make sure that we center and ground ourselves into this space so that we can clear the path for ourselves for the conversation that we are going to have. So I will just take this short time just to let ourselves just breathe in and breathe out a bit. We give thanks to the Creator and to our ancestors of light, our ancestors of love, those who lived well, that passed through this world that we find ourselves in, and those continue to be the messengers to us. We give thanks for the gift of life. We give thanks for the opportunities that we are given. We give thanks for this day. We give thanks for this talk that we are going to have today, and we ask that we should be guided in a proper way, knowing that the work that we are doing is not only for us, it's for the children that are coming, and for them to walk in this path is when we show them the path that they have to walk through. So thank you so much for everything that we are given, and we ask that all the sharing that is going to be take place today, it is guided by the Creator and our ancestors. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Thank you so much, ma'am. With that, we know that the ancestors are with us, and we have no doubt that we're going to have a great conversation today. That said, I would love to remind us that we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. From wherever you're joining us, please use the comment box to join the conversation. In the studio, feel free to send your questions, feel free to share your experiences. We are here for 50 minutes. So without any further ado, I am going to take us right to our author. We are launching this book today. The title says it all, How to Parent Proudly African Children. And I think our author knows what to say, so has so much to share with us. I will let him introduce himself, and after that, he will then invite his studio guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into the conversation. So thank you, all of you. We see you on Facebook. We see that you're joining in, so let's get it started. So where is our author? Not me.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Over to
you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to our panel and our publisher, Beatrice, and all the guests who are here. This is a great day for us as a family, because we've worked for it for quite some time, to get this book, which started as a journal. Yes, sir. My name is Ramarumo Tshikosi. I hail from Limpopo, Thohoyandou, and I'm now based in Cape Town, where I'm working as a nuclear professional for Quebec Nuclear Power Station, the only nuclear power station in Africa. I'm a parent, I'm a father, I'm a Pan-Africanist, and yeah, I know toastmaster. I'm also into property. Um, I'm a property investor. So I'm also a member of the Homeowners Association. And most importantly, I am a proud African, proudly African father. Yes, that's who I am.
Thank you. Thank you. So you're not here alone to launch this important book. You brought your tribe. You brought your tribe with you to support you. So may I kindly ask you to ask your tribe to introduce themselves?
Yes, I'm not alone. Yeah, I've got my wife here, who is the mother of our children. And yeah, I'm quite proud to have her in the panel. So if I say something that is not true, she can always, correct. Or if I say something that is inadequate, she can always fill the gaps. So yeah, Ma'am Tshikosi Stembile.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tshembile Tshikosi. As previously said, I'm the mother of these princesses and the wife and the queen in the family. I am happy to be here. This is a big moment for my husband, Ramarumo. It's been a long, long dream of his. I am so happy to be here and witness this dream coming true for him. And I'm quite sure that there's more to come. And I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you. Back to you, Ramarumo.
Thank you.
So the author, over to you. Who is next on your line?
Oh, yes. I've got a Bukeka here. She read the book, and I'll just ask her to introduce herself briefly and just say comments about the book.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bukeka Zimande. Just for the record, I was hijacked to help out with this book. I just want to make it clear, very clear. I'm just kidding. Actually, I was asked just to proofread, and then I thought, okay, why not? And then after that, I got so inspired that I actually started writing my own book. So that's exactly what happened. So I'm really excited to be part of this and quite privileged, and I really appreciate being here for the launch with you guys. All right, back to our author.
Thank you, Bukeka. Manzi Mand. Yeah, thank you so much. May I have a Umama Ubuntu? Yeah, just to introduce herself and say something about the book if there's any comment that you want to pass.
No, thank you so much, Tate Ramarumo, and thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Thohoyandou from Ebukosini Solutions, which is the company that I run with my husband, Baba Buntu. I'm a director here in our company. Our company is a community-based company organization looking at African-centered education. So we have different programs that we are doing under our company. So, but for today, I'm so happy to be here to represent Tate Ramarumo, because I know that this book has been a long journey for him, that he's been working also with my husband just to making sure that they come up with a book that will be very inspirational to parents and to our African children. I've read the book a little bit, but I think I'll share it more, other part that really stood out for me when we continue with this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mama Ubuntu. May I hand over to you, the publisher. And Beatrice,
Today is not my day.
without you, this work wouldn't have come out to the public, and so I'm quite grateful to have you.
You're always too
Thank
kind
you.
with your words. It takes two. It takes you to birth the book for me to publish. If there's no author, there will be no publisher. So I give it back to you, and I take it as a compliment that this is a collective piece of work, and again, one that is very dear to our hearts. So let's get straight to it, to the heart of it. Parenting proudly African children. Why that title, and what does it mean to you?
Okay. Yeah, that's a difficult question. I thought you're not going to ask it. Yes. Yes, we live in a world where the values, African values, are under scrutiny. A lot of people are asking questions whether this is still relevant. People are questioning about our languages, whether they can still be spoken. We put question mark in everything that is African. And so I thought maybe we should look at what we have, our parents have done, look at some of the good practices that our ancestors have been doing, and see how we can be able to, come up with good things that we are able to use to raise our children. And I was inspired by some of the work that I've read. I've read some works of the Jewish. There's a book titled "How to Raise a Jewish Child," and that book, most Jewish people have it, and they recommend it. And I thought, why don't we have a book on how to raise and proudly African children? So that was the question. I thought, okay, I have to follow the line of is Toni Morrison. Yes, what's her name? The lady. She wrote. She said, if there's a book that you wish to read and you haven't read it, write it. So I thought, okay, let me write that book. Yes, because the Chinese have got a book, the Arabs have got a book. So I thought, let's do it. And this could be a conversation starter. Thank you.
Indeed, a conversation started, and that quote is from Toni Morrison. If there's a book that you want to read and you don't find it, write it. So it's I know it so well because she said that to me, and I started writing because she said that to me. She repeated that to me. So I'm glad that we all follow on that footsteps. So I will take it again. I would like to throw another question at you again. You say our values are changing. Does parenting an African child, what is your hope that parenting a proudly African child, what impact do you think it will have? What is your hope? What do you want to see come out, or what do you want to see corrected if we consciously parent proudly African children?
I think we need to look. We need to affirm ourselves that there is nothing wrong with our African identity, and we should raise our children to be confident Africans who are able to stand up and not being apologetic about their language, about their African features, about our history, because that's what is missing. I think all institutions are based, or they're defined, or they are built with us outside of it. So all the value system which is in the schooling system, which is in all of the main institutions, they do not cater for Africans. It's like we are a side thing. That's why even when you wear wear African clothing, they will ask you, what's the occasion? Why are you wearing traditional? As if this is the clothing that we are wearing. It's not other people's culture. So there is a lot of questions that we have about ourselves, to some extent that if we continue in this trajectory, we'll start even questioning into ourselves as to why we still exist as African people. So I thought maybe we need to restore ourselves, because if we're able to restore that identity, that confidence, we will be able to unleash our full potential. But if we have got doubts about ourselves, then it affects our confidence, it affects our self-esteem, and also it affects even the way we run our businesses, we run our countries. You could see there's question marks that are unanswered. We are asking questions. It's like we're waiting for other people to come to guide us at all times. But I might be wrong, but that's my perception. Thank you.
Okay, I want to say those of you who are joining us on social media, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We see you, we see that you're watching, so please feel free to join the conversation. It's a book launch, but all of you out there, you're all invited to be part of this. So share your experiences, share the, if you know, share, tell us which aspect you're picking up that resonates with you, with your parenting or your upbringing, or the upbringing of children in your community. So let's open the conversation to Mam Teboho and to Bukeka and the Queen of the House, Queen Stembile. Please, if there is anything that you'd like to add from what has been said already, you know, parenting African children, uplifting our values, being affirmative in our parenting, is there something that you'd like to add? You've read the book, you are parent or you've been parented. From either perspective.
I can add here. Yeah, I do agree with what Tate Ramarumo is just saying, that we realize right now the challenge is that we raise our children being not confident, and we are talking about our children. We find that we are not confident because we don't have enough knowledge about what it means to be us. And most of the time, what we know about us is most of the time in the negative side. So the knowledge that we have and the African knowledge that it is part of our life, it's still looked at as not a valid and important. And to raise children with having that as a center, for me, is one of the things that it will give them a pride in every situation that they come into. You know, I always just say one of the challenges that we have in most cases, we always go to any event, any situation, being it academy, professionals, working in as if like we don't have anything to offer. And if we know our story, if we know our history, if we know what it means to be us, we will never go into any space like beggars, but we will sit there confident. When people talk, we will just be able to listen to them and say that I hear what you are saying, and you can give your perspective. In our context and our perspective, this is how we do things and this is what they mean. Whereby you don't just sit there and always look at someone that come into this world not having anything. So raising children with that, even parents that are like that, you send them to the world without even being scared that they want to make it. You said, of course, go into the world, show the world what you have. You don't have to even think of being anyone. You just have to be yourself. And having them like that, for me, it's like, yeah, then they can be able to bring the change. They can be able to even bring new innovations that we need. So it is important. Raise them in a proudly way of knowing who they are and what they mean to the world.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
ma'am. I hear you. Let's see. Is there another contribution, another affirmation?
Yes, absolutely. I actually agree with Teboho. And I also want to add to what she just said, because the confidence thing is so true. I mean, when I look at the time I started working in corporate, that is true. I did enter in there with like a inferiority complex, if you could call it that. And that definitely affected my trajectory, even climbing up the corporate ladder. And I feel like that it's only when I was much older that I actually finally started learning the truth about myself. And it was the first time in my life that I actually started becoming confident in who and what I was. And I feel that had I actually learned this from the get-go, not in a bad way, but I would be far, far, far ahead than what I am now. But it's never too late. But I feel like with this book, it's a matter of why learn at 30 what you can learn at 3. That's my view. Yeah.
I get you. I get you. Thank you so much for that. It means sometimes we don't know, we don't even realize that we show up the way we show up and do things the way we do because of the knowledge or the lack of knowledge of who we are that we have. that the school system that we grow up in, the media that we navigate in, the public opinion that we have, that all of that, it's programmed to give us a certain image of who we are. And sometimes we get so infatuated by this that we start really struggling very hard to become who we think someone wants us to become, far away from who we really are or should be. So I appreciate that you mentioned, your struggle in the corporate space with the person that, you have been groomed to be. Let's go back to the empire and go to the queen of the house. Lady Queen. You saw this coming. And I must say, you are a mom of 3 incredibly smart and award-winning GloBUNTU Young Authors, and now the wife of a published author. And tomorrow you're going to add a title to your name as well. So coming from that space, being a parent, having been parented, how are you parenting differently from how you were parented?
Yes, thank you, Beatrice. It's quite an honor to be associated with people like yourselves and to have the privilege of parenting these 3 young dynamites. I always say dynamites comes in small packages, and now I can see that they indeed still come in small packages. And the one thing that I did differently as a mother, as a parent, I looked at my upbringing. While I have no complaints for what my parents and the people around me did at the time with the very little resources that they had, I grew up in a very loving environment. That's one thing that I've always been privileged to. We may not have all the fine trimmings of life when I was growing up, but the one thing that echoed throughout my childhood, we were brought up with love, and there was lots of laughter. And I said to myself, one day when I'm a parent, I want to duplicate this loving environment. And one thing I did find out, though, by accident, is that when you raise kids with love and nourish them with, with happiness, provide the happy space, everything else just falls into place. And yes, kids are going to be kids. They're going to try their luck. They're going to push your buttons. But as long as you don't forget that you, as a mother, as a parent, your job is to provide a loving, happy environment for your children. And everything sort of falls into place. And if you love your kids, and if you are willing to do what it takes for them to grow up being wonderful, confident citizens, then if you start with love, you will be able to be patient with them, because kids, they really try your patience. And believe me, even award-winning authors, they've tried my patience a lot. And and then I just remind myself, I am put in this position because I was the best person to be in this position. Therefore, I can't have this ego and say, well, I'm the mother, you will listen to me. I have to meet them at their level. I have to try and understand them. And most importantly, I have to continue loving them. And when that happens, then all the other things, even when they push your buttons, you remember that, oh, I love these young humans. Then I have to make sure that they are nourished, they have a roof over their head. And even when they annoy the heck out of me sometimes, I remind myself that this is a privilege. Being a mother is a privilege. Not everyone has been given the opportunity to be a mom. So I'm so grateful that I am a mother to 3 wonderful human beings. And I said to God, I will not disappoint you for this privilege that you bestowed upon me. I will do everything I can to provide and to nourish these 3 beautiful children. And before you know it, there was a book coming out, which, as my husband says, it started as a journal. And I kept saying, when is the book coming? When is the book coming? And here we are. I'm not taking any credit. He did a wonderful job. And I was just there being a cheerleader and supporting, because that's what wives do. They support, they cheer, and they push hard sometimes. So I have pushed, I have supported, and I'm so happy to witness this moment. I know that for my husband, it's a wonderful moment for him, and I'm so happy for this family. And thank you, Beatrice.
You're most welcome. So, see, we have people joining on the social media. These are some beautiful comments coming in. We have, sorry, Somandla. If I pronounce the name wrongly, please excuse me. I am honored to be part of this launch. I can't wait to have a copy. Copies are available with the author or at GloBUNTUBooks.com. Go to our website or call the author. They are on Facebook, on social media, and you can get a copy right there. So we have limited copies at the moment. You want to have it, make sure that you grab your copy as quickly as possible before the first print runs out. So we see you, FOR, we do see you, and we appreciate you for, we appreciate you for being here. So back to the studio. Those of you again joining us on social media, we hope you're having a good conversation. If you have, you're enjoying the conversations, if you have questions, you have contributions, you have experiences from your own upbringing or as a parent, or some things that you always wanted to know about what it takes to parent proudly African children, please use the comment box on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn to join the conversation. We'll be happy to get you in the studio. Now, let's take the conversation further. Let's go back to our author. What are the key topics? What are the key topics that you are addressing in this book? If someone buys this book, what is it that, what are going to be, what are the 3 key takeaways that they're going to have from reading this book?
Okay. Yes, from this book, I address my approach to parenting, what I took as the most important pillars of our parenting, which is education, love, and we support our children, and also to learn from our culture, to learn from my own upbringing, and I take lessons that I learned from my upbringing to raising my own children. And that it hasn't been, like a honeymoon parenting. There's been challenges, and there continue to be challenges. But because we love our children, I love my children, I am here. Can I also, another important point which made me to write this book is we have a lot of fathers, and we have got very few African dads. So many of our African brothers, they do not want to take responsibility of being a father. And I'm saying, you are missing out, guys. You're missing out the experience of being a father, and you cannot pay for it. There's no money that you can be able to attach to it. It's a priceless experience. I am enjoying the journey. I am reaping the rewards. Sometimes I shed tears with my children because of the experience that we're going through, and it's something if you miss, you can never get. So let's come on board and look after our children. By so doing, we are building a nation. When you build in the nation, the building of the nation starts from home. And we can complain as much as we want about what other people are doing, but I ask myself a question: what am I doing with the powers that I have, with the resources that I have, that I should use to look after the people who look after me? They look up to me as their role models. So that's the challenge that I'm posing, especially to African brothers. My brothers, my African men, guys, let's rise up to the occasion and look after our children. That's called nation building. Thank you.
I get you. I think in the book, you touch on a lot of things. You touch on your own upbringing. You touch on formal school, the classical form of schooling. And then you touch on homeschooling because you combine the two of them. So now this question is for you and the Queen. What is the difference between conventional schooling when it comes to parenting African children? What kind of partners do you have in the conventional school, and what kind of experience do you have from homeschooling that you wish that conventional schools had? Does that make sense? Does the question make sense to you? And before you go right there, I want to acknowledge one comment from Facebook. So Nono, we see you. Congratulations. Ramarumo and Stembile for this achievement, definitely getting all the books month end. So Queen, take note, this is where money is coming from. That's why we have to go create impact with the book.
Thank you, Nono.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Nono.
Nono.
So now let's go to that experience of homeschooling versus classical schooling, and what lessons do you get from homeschooling that you wish that? Yes, okay, let's go to the Queen, please. You take it away.
I'm always excited to tackle this question as Beatrice, because it's so fascinating, and especially among African families, homeschooling is still, I would say, well, in this day and age, it seems like it's new. But I always say to the people who says, "Oh, homeschooling, that's so different." I said, our great grandparents, they were homeschooled. If you think about it, the schooling system as we know it today is very, very new. It's less than 100 years. 50 years ago, our parents, at least my grandparents, didn't go to a normal school as we know it. And she learned everything she knew about how to be a girl, about how to be a young woman, about how to be a mom and a pet and a wife. All of those things they learn at home. So homeschooling is really a very old, ancient. It is as old as time itself. But now, in this day and age, we are privileged that we now have a choice. You can actually take your kids out of the formal brick and mortar schooling system and say, I'm going to define how I'm going to teach my children. For me personally, what homeschooling has done, it has brought us very close as a family. We are a very close knit family, and it has given us the time to spend way more time with kids than we would have had they been in a formal schooling system. And also just to choose how you want to teach your kids, especially the value system. For me, it's very important to instill the African values. There's a famous saying in my house, that is not African. Whenever they raise their voice and the tone changes, I say, you do not talk to your parents like that. It's an African. And then they know very well what that phrase means. Because in their school, they can say, oh, whatever. There is no whatever in my house. No, 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 no. So I tell them your tone, what you say is extremely important. If you are in this house, you're going to address your father and your mother with respect. And yes, respect means different things to so many different people. But there is an African way of bringing kids. You watch your tone when you talk to your parents. There's a way, even your body language. You don't just stand there and put your hand on the on your your waistline and say, "Hi, mom. Hi, dad." No, you talk properly, polite. So I teach them all those things, because then when we go home to the grandparents, they don't look like aliens. Because I've always seen these children when they come from the cities to the rural area, they don't know how to talk to adults, and then they look so weird. And the others were like, what have you been doing with these kids? So for me, it's very important that I teach my children the way I was brought up. I may have changed a few things there and there, but the value system is what was most important for me, because the values that they learn in school, in fact, I'm not sure if there's any values that are being taught in school. They focus on the academics, they focus on the sports, and then we as parents, because we work so hard, we don't have time to actually pay attention to those little things, like say thank you, say please, say mommy may I, not say I want this. That is not right way to ask for something. So the value for me, the value system was one thing that stood out for me. As a result, I'm very proud of my children. When they talk to adults, they know how to address adults. Yes, they may talk whatever way they want with other people, but whenever they address an adult human being, they have a way of addressing them. And for me, that was extremely important. And I'm very proud of the way it turned out. So there is one thing I would say was a great plus about homeschooling. I'll leave the rest to Udedi of the house. I know he's dying to say something.
Before we go to Udedi, I thank you for that. I think you brought up something that is so important, that homeschooling has always been here. Sometimes we think that it's a concept that came from abroad. But when you put it that way, that our great-great-great-grandparents, they were homeschooled, and that the formal school is a foreign concept that was brought in. And that is probably the reason why the material that we have there is in a certain way and makes us feel a certain way or raises us a certain way. And I'm so happy that you brought in that aspect, just to say this is not a foreign concept to us. It has always been around. And I just love that. And again, how our children are going to show up in their offices, in their workplaces, how they're going to deal with their clients, with the people that they serve, becoming parents as well. Start with home. Start with where you are right now, how you educate them at home. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Again, we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you're out there and you're following the conversation, we want to hear from you. Don't stay out. Bring in your opinions, join and share. So we go back to Udadi, the author of the book, The Emperor of the Tshikosi Empire, as I always call him.
Yes.
So over to you, your experiences,
Yes.
and you have them very elaborate in the book. So just share a few, a few things with us.
Yes, of course, I won't share everything. Otherwise, they won't buy the book.
You're right.
Yes. I took some lessons from my father, from my upbringing. At home, there was no education was key. It was non-negotiable. Going to church was, those were non-negotiables. Helping out at home, those three were non-negotiables. So I thought, okay, my father had these non-negotiables, and I think he was doing it for a reason, and it helped us to turn out to be a good people. So I thought, okay, at home, what are our value system? I had a discussion with my wife as to what we want to teach our children. We want to teach them self-knowledge. They should know who they are. So that has got to do with African history, culture, know their mother tongue, to know African languages and embrace it. Even the way we dress, we want to show that we are proud of who we are. Then the other value is self-reliance, that we want to teach our children to be able to do things for themselves. So for that, my wife helped a lot. We taught them entrepreneurship. Whenever she's running her business, she ran a skincare business. She involved them from the packaging, doing the research, and also to relate with customers, also to sell. We all participate in selling. And we also signed up for them for entrepreneurship course so that they can learn to learn about these basics of what is an asset, what is a liability, to understand the interest, what is a loan, and they understand those things. And self-reliance, we also have a garden at home. We produce food. We work together to work in the garden, and they understand that you should learn to produce food. And we also teach them how to make food. They can cook, and for that we even organize a course for them with our chef Mo. We are very we are very grateful for what she did, and that also inspired Nana to write a book. The entrepreneurship part helped Ali to write a book, a fiction story themed around financial education. And homeschooling inspired Chimangi, our firstborn, to write a book about homeschooling. What the heck is it? And interesting enough, at that time she was at a private school when she wrote the book, but she was just observing. And then the other thing is the other value is self-confidence, that we want our children to be confident. And we learned that along the way, there's not everything it's good that we do in our African culture, and we question some of the things that we think it's not good, and we change it. For example, in most African families, the kids are not allowed to speak. So in ours, we give our children space to talk a lot. We train them also in public speaking. We train them in storytelling, and even what I'm saying, it's not an African culture that we don't allow our children to speak. It's a corrupted African culture. So we also, if you hold that kind of view, you need to look at it and say this is an alien culture. And also the question of respect, that we should respect, self-respect. We respect ourselves, respect other people, talk to other people with respect. That's what we need to do. And if you look at it, it also spilling over to our society. We have got a lot of issues of people who don't respect each other, especially, this the male species. We still have to learn, to respect ourselves and to respect our 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 mothers, to us, our spouses, and relate better, because that's what African culture is all about. It's not about oppressing other people. And education, self-education. At home, we have got a saying which says, a day without learning, it's a day wasted. So I remember, it's about learning, learning, learning. And at just one last point, the reason why we went to homeschooling, there was a time when our children would be, when they were doing basic education, primary there, they would be drawing. But when they draw, all the pictures they were drawing were depicting Eurocentric people, white people. And I asked them why. They said, no, no, no. The teacher said, you must draw like that. I said, no, 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 no. You can't be drawing like that. You must draw pictures that look like you. And we would be having a lot of long debates around that. And I told them, if draw the what I'm saying, if she has got a problem, she will come and talk to me. So I got tired of correcting this. I got tired and said, let's do it the right way. Thank you.
So as you were talking, I apologize. I left my chair. I just wanted, you mentioned the kids, the books that the kids have been inspired to write from their experiences. It's your story is such a good one, because the things that you do, you're not preaching. It's something that you do. It's, the fact that the kids have written about it just shows how much they have embraced what it is that you're instilling in them. So I just wanted to kind of blend those books on the screen so that everyone sees. This is reality right here. So
yeah, those are the receipts. Yeah.
Right, receipts as well. And again, on Sunday, we're going to have the Tshikosi Young Writers on the screen, and other GloBUNTU Young Authors. Here we pride ourselves with writing and publishing books that gives us a proud sense of identity, especially of our African identity. So that's why you will see them on Saturday. You'll see a lot of GloBUNTU Young Authors, and listen to them. They'll talk to you like you getting a conversation from an adult, because that's who they are. So let's take it to the floor again to our guest, Ma'am Teboho. You certainly have a lot to add right there. I think I'll let Ukeka come in a little bit later. Let's go for a mom who has been around for a while. The pandemic has reduced us all to homeschooling. People who did not have a high opinion of homeschooling, they have been compared to have a taste of it. And the question is, where is this pandemic taking us Africans back to? Is it going through the pandemic? Can we say that we have been compared to look back to some of the values that was neglected, and that when we come out of it, we're going to be better parents? Are we going to parent differently from your perspective?
As they say, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I think we're gonna be parenting differently, because part of the pandemic, it brought parents to more questions about what is that they want their children to learn. And also, I think it brought up an element in parents that I find it, especially when it comes to homeschooling, it pushes you as a parent to cross certain boundaries, your fears, because homeschooling, it will push you to teach your child in the way that you are not expecting them to go and look for employment, but to be able to create jobs for themselves. So it's like a shift. It's a paradigm shift, because and now when people are just used to, you go to school and you go and look for a job. Now it says, no, you learn from what you are learning, you create a passion. From that passion, you create something that you'll survive with. And that's what education has to be. Education has to be able to give you solutions. Education doesn't, if people cannot say that they're educated and they cannot even come up with solution, then you realize that there's something wrong in that education system. And I always just say that it's good right now when you see all this change, because it's bringing back also restorations of our family. Because when you look at the historical encounter and understanding, one of the approaches of colonization, it started with destroying the African family. And because they knew that when the family is weak, the whole society become weak and the whole nation. So to take everything back, it started back into the family. And you see the work that the Tshikosis they are doing. It's a revolution, because they start to shift their understanding of their children on their worldview to life. They write so they can tell their story. They have their food. That is freedom, because you can have your food, you can have your voice, you can have everything that you want. So life is like a strong foundation, because right now one of the challenges that we are having, we don't have strong family guidance. And now when you have the children that the way they are raising their children in the environment, they are already knowing how to be firm and take accountability of everything and responsibility. So this is for me one of a typical greatest practical example of raising children in the way that parents can just sit back and say, we have sorted out everything. We know this train is wheeled up, and it's a template that a lot of parents can learn from, because there's a lot of fear in parents. And you see, even the parents that are sending their children to the schools that they are not happy with, it's just out of fear, because all they are just saying that I just want to give my child that to take this child to the school so that they can get employed, so that it's like always you are looking at other people to do things for you. But now you say, no, you are not going to look at anyone to do anything. You are saying that people can come to me. There's going to be a good exchange of whatever that I have and what others are having, not me depending on anyone. So I am proud of this, because it's an inspiration of opening up the door for what we can become. So we just need to bring a lot of the Chikolos to our spaces, say, let's do workshop, let's do support groups, the care groups, so that when people fall, they can always know that they have those that have walked this path, and they can carry them to say, this is how you deal with it, because they have an experience. They are expert on this issue. So yeah, homeschooling in our in our way, and also knowing that we're not saying that we can only teach them an African way. I always just say the European ways, it's just there. It's like English. English is out there. You can that it's like it's given. You learn all these things. But we want the children now that, my when I was studying, my professor used to say we need the children that are by epistemologically competent. They know they have the best of both worlds. They know they can see the importance of African identity, and they can learn from other knowledges, and they can bring it together to create a path that when they walk it with confidence that all sides are balanced. And this is the kind of children that we want, balanced children in all knowledge production, not one-sided, and now they have shaky ground.
I get you, Ma'am. I think you said something very important there, that we're not saying don't have the other education. We're saying let it be a complement. Let it be an addition. You got to start from somewhere. Start from somewhere that is home, that nurtures you. And when you go from there, you can excel. When you start from the top and you're going downward, it is a more kind of shaky road than when you get a solid foundation from home, from your values, to grow into the world, to become a proud world citizen. You can always go back to somewhere. So I appreciate you for that. And while you were speaking, we have Baba Bantu online. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a beautiful comment, and I want to acknowledge that Baba Bantu wrote the preface to this book. Is it the foreword or the preface? A very powerful one. So we really, really appreciate you for showing up and for being part of the book launch and for supporting. So thank you for that. Bukeka, I'm going to ask you, this is the last question, and then we have to do the round it all up. Before we give all the juices from the book. We want people to buy this book. Again, you can get it through the Facebook page of the Tshikosi family, whether it's Tembile or Ramarumo. You can go there. They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And yes, make sure that you get them. If you don't find them, come to my space, GloBUNTU Books, and I will connect you. Go to Baba Buntu and he will connect you. So if you're connected with Baba Buntu or with Mama Teboho or you're connected with Bukeka, go to any one of us and we'll connect you. You just want to have this book. It's not just for parents. It's for children. It's for learners. It's for teachers. It's for caregivers. It's for university professors. It's for us adults, you know, if we want to catch up on certain things. So that said, I'll come to you, Bukeka, and ask you a question. If you, after having read this book and being part of this conversation, what kind of a parent do you aspire to be when your time comes?
Okay. Well, actually, I already am a parent.
Aha. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So what kind of a parent are you going to be from here going forward?
Okay, so I'll be honest. When I first got the book, I read the title, and you know, like especially that word African, you know, the first thing that came to my mind, I thought, maybe this author is trying to go back to some romanticized, imagined past, you know. And honestly, when I went into it, I was a bit skeptical, thinking, oh goodness, he's gonna say we must wear shoe and skins and run around a fire or something. And that is not at all what happened. The first thing that I would say that I appreciated about the book was the fact that it was a modern take, but with values of old. You know, so we're not trying to go back to what we were 1,000 years ago. It's impossible. However, those values can be applied in a modern way. So that was one thing that was very surprising for me, because I went into the book thinking, oh no, and I was pleasantly surprised. And another lesson that I got from the book was that you cannot send your kids to be taught by Caesar and then be surprised that they come back as Romans, you know? Yes, exactly. Because in my head, I will not lie, before the book, I was like, no, private school, this one, saint something, you know, and that has made me go back to the drawing board and think, maybe no, not really. I won't say that I'm 100% homeschooling now, but I will not lie, that seed is now growing and germinating in me, you know. And the other lesson that I learned from the book was that a child that has been educated only in the Eurocentric education system, as an African child, still remains pretty much an uneducated child, because they have no sense of self-awareness and, you know, and lack of self-love, even usually, and lack of self-confidence. So those were the things that I felt quite challenged and surprised by when I read the book. So yeah, I feel the book made me feel very uncomfortable about my parenting stance. I feel like my parenting stance has been challenged. I have made a few tweaks, especially with the social media. I'm winning on that one, so that was good. I'm also winning on the discipline one, but the homeschooling one, I will not lie, I'm getting there. Maybe I'm thinking about it long and hard, because yes, you cannot send your kids to be taught by Caesar and be surprised when they come back as Romans. Yeah.
Thank you. You said something that you said a lot of things that kind of hit home. But what I want to grab is when you say that it made you uncomfortable. You know, growth comes. You grow when you quit your space of comfort. Okay.
Yeah.
So when something makes you uncomfortable, it's just a reminder that something is not right in that space. That something needs to be fixed. So I'm happy that you're in that space of that. The book brought you in the space of this. That's where disruption happens. And I hope that everyone that reads this book gets to a point of discomfort so that they can find a reason to disrupt the system that they're in.
10% discomfort.
And one thing that I like about the book is that it's not a kind of rosy it's not a rose bed. They talk about the things. It's highs and lows, it's vulnerability, it's clarity, It's,
Yes.
it takes you to the nitty part so that you really feel what it takes, So that's what I celebrate in the author and his team. It's an excellent work. That's why GloBUNTU chose to publish that book. It's one of our pride of all of our books. So I'm happy that we're here talking about the book. Again, we want people to buy this book. The book is available with the author in Cape Town and their social media handles. It's available at globuntubooks.com. You just go in there and you find the book. And so we just want to take 1, 2, or 3 minutes to wrap it all up. So we give people the chance to go buy the book. Okay. So I will start with you, Mama Teboho. Why would you advise people to buy this book? Why would you advise people to read this book?
Because it's important. It's a guidelines that as African people and as African parents, we need, especially in the time we find ourselves right now, to know how to raise our children in the way that we will be proud of ourselves as parents of the work that we have done for our children. And it's not so many books, and it's not so many books that are doing that at the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Bukeka, out of the space of discomfort, who are the first people that you talk to get into that space as well? Because it definitely takes them to a new reality. Who would you recommend this book to?
Absolutely anyone who is wanting to be a parent, currently is a parent, and anybody who is like a mother or father figure to anybody, and honestly any African, because this is you're still part of the community, even if you choose to be child free, but you're still somebody's mother figure, father figure somewhere. So it's absolutely for all those people. Anybody who is interested and actually wants to make sure that the next generation is years ahead of where we are. So any African person who loves being African and loves the African child, that's the book for them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now let's go wrap it all up. We start with, is it the author going to do it, or the queen wrapping it up before? Who is going to be first amongst you now? I'll let you guys decide.
Yes, I'll say anyone, grandparents, aunties, moms, dads, if you are at any point in your life dealing with children, I'd say this is the book for you. And I've heard a lot of people complain about how our kids have been Europeanized or whitewashed or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with living in a European setup, like in the suburbs, but you can still keep your African values, and you can still grow as an African and a proud African, and still go to those white private schools. There's nothing wrong with them. They are wonderful. But when the kid comes home, then you can always get ideas on how you can still raise them as Africans, so that when they show up in the spaces, they show up in the white spaces and corporate spaces, but as African people, proudly African people. So I'll say go out there, get the book, and learn some tips. And this is not like expert advice. It's just us as parents sharing our story. And it so happens that a lot of people really, really were intrigued in how we raise our kids. And my husband thought, okay, I'm going to put it in a book. And here we are today. So please go out there and support. Most importantly, we need to pay Beatrice publishing fees. So please support. Thank you. Over to you,
Yes.
author.
Okay. Yeah. You know, you have captured a lot that I wanted to say. The most important thing is that we need to put ourselves at the center. For many, many centuries, African people were at the periphery. So I wanted us to say it's time that African people, we are African centered, and our way of doing things, there's a lot of value in it. And that's the reason why we wrote this book. The other point is, as parents, we need to be there, support our children all the way, love them. Whether our children are in a first world private schools or whatever, or government schools, we still need to teach them. We have something to teach them as parents. We must not underestimate ourselves as parents. We have something to share to them. And yeah, we need to support them, love them, and be parents. We should not franchise that or that responsibility, give it to other people, delegate other people to parent our children. We are the parents. We need to teach our children, take control of the future by empowering our children. And that is the best way to do it. I've seen Chinese who are second or third generation here. They still speak Chinese fluently and they are proud. They still make that tea when you go in there. They still celebrate the Chinese year. We just moved in. When you move into the city, 5 years later, you will have forgotten all your values, all your cultural upbringing, and we even scorn on it. So I think it's high time we need to look and value ourselves, and even the world will start looking at us with respect. But if we look down upon ourselves, nobody will take us serious. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Over to
Thank you
you.
for joining. Thank you so much for joining the book launch. We're about to wrap it up. But before we do, I want to remind us that this is Black History Month. We are celebrating by launching some GloBUNTU books. We have some really great books that are coming up. If you allowed me, I will share a few of them. The next book launch coming up is My Crazy Journey. This is another GloBUNTU Books mom. At GloBUNTU Books, when children write, parents start writing. You can see that in the Tshikosi family, and this is one of the GloBUNTU family authors. Let me see. Where's my slide? Let me. This book launch is coming up on the 17th. It's the last book launch that we're doing. Going backward, we are launching a book series that we just started. It's a healing series. It's called Letters To. Again, we're going back to the culture of writing letters. This is coming in seasons. The first season, we just completed it with 4 book titles. The first title is Love Letters to the Universe. We have Letters of Forgiveness, Letters to the Pandemic. We have Letters to the Ancestors. And season 2, we're launching season 2. But before we launch season 2, we are going to present you the books that we have written in season 1. Oh, I'm rushing away. Excuse me. I'm being impatient. That's Beatrice. When she becomes passionate, she is impatient. So I just need to get to my slide. So tomorrow we are launching the first 12 letters in the Letters To series. And these are 12 international authors who have come together to write love letters to the universe. That one is tomorrow. So you want to tune in to listen to this and to find out how you can join the next season. So on Sunday, we have a book launch. This one is our young author from the US. She wrote a book, Quarantine and Other Poems. And I think this is very timely as well. So that one is coming up on Sunday. And today, if you have time, right after this, we are having a masterclass on Zoom that should have started 3 minutes ago. It's about how to write your book, so you can join us. And as we do the book launches this week, the book launches go from today right up to the 21st of February. We are celebrating authors. We're celebrating programs that are upcoming in GloBUNTU Books. So again, I want to thank you all for joining. This was it for the book launch. I want to celebrate our author and thank you for opening this book launch season, opening the Black History Month book launch season. Thank you for bringing on board an incredible panel. I hope that those of you who joined us on social media, that you took as much away as we took reading, editing, and publishing the book. It's a great read. It's the best gift that you can give someone on birthdays, on Black History Month, on your corporate events. Don't give chocolate and wine and flowers. Give people knowledge, give people books. So this is one of the books that you want to make sure that you put on your gift list. It's a book to read at Christmas, when it is Easter, wherever it is, during holidays, when you're driving. So make sure you grab a copy and support, not just support, but get the value that this book brings to you. So that said, it was my pleasure to start this book launch season, to have all of you on the panel. I hope that you had fun. I wish you all the best with your families. And above all, I wish that you find a way to express yourself in writing, because that's how you create lavish books. We're always happy to welcome new authors, and we hope also to see you in our upcoming book launches. That said, we wish you a wonderful evening. Stay safe and never forget where you come from, because it is important. So goodbye to you. See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
At the next event.
Bye, everybody.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.